So that walk us through your journey, sir, into the music. How did it start?
Okay. Sige, I will take you on a journey of my being a singer songwriter.
Mhm.
I was born in Iloilo City,
Okay.
and in the 50s, we didn't have television yet, but our main source of entertainment was the radio and the movies.
Mhm.
Okay, movies and radio. So I grew up listening to DYRL in Bacolod,
I know
D
that.
DYRI, DYHF, DYOO in Iloilo. So all
Uh,
through my life, music was streaming through my head. And it was like they were planting tiny seeds in my subconscious that would eventually reap a bountiful harvest. And so the songs that I have written all these years must have been influenced by the songs that I grew up with. You know,
oh.
I mean, I won't mention all the songs that I loved growing up as a child in Iloilo, but I also enjoyed singing along to the radio. And I was only 9 years old when my yaya took me to a radio station in Iloilo. It
Nice.
was a Sunday afternoon. There was a radio show called Children's Hour.
Mhm.
And I remember Ray Pareño was the host. And I sang a song there for the first time in public. And I sang the song Granada by Frankie Lane.
Oh, I
And then,
thought you were Villame.
no, 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 no.
Okay.
Frankie Lane.
Okay.
Frankie Lane was a famous American
Okay.
singer. And then in school,
Mhm.
in my grade school, high school, I enjoyed singing in school programs
Mhm.
until I was part of a band. In those days, we would call the band a combo.
Combo. Yeah.
Yeah, combo meaning a combination of guitar, drums, bass, and vocals. So I was inspired in 1958. I was 13 years old because all of a sudden there came a wave of singer songwriters. Remember, Papa Gio,
Mhm.
before then, the
Yes.
Frank Sinatra, the Doris Day, the Perry Como, they were all singing songs that were written by others.
Yes.
In
Correct.
1958, a new breed of singer-songwriters like Paul Anka, Teddy Randazzo came into the scene. And so I was impressed that these singers were singing songs that they themselves wrote. And
Mm.
because of that, I was inspired to also start composing.
Mm. Okay.
So I must have written about, oh, 20, 30 songs before I came out with my first recording. Those
And
20 or 30 songs, if you listen to them now, you would say they were derivative. They sounded like the songs that were popular at that time. Naging kopya ko, kinopya ko
uh-huh.
lang.
Mhm.
So it took about 3, 4 years before I could write something that I considered original. And I
Mm.
remember I was about maybe 15 years old when I approached a music teacher from University of San Agustin, and I said, "Sir, I would like to request if you could listen to my songs, and then please give me your opinion about it."
Mhm.
So he said, "Okay, all right." So I played it,
Mhm.
and then at the end he said, "Okay, what's your name?" Joe Marie Chan. Okay, Joe Marie Chan. Uh, your song is both beautiful and original.
Yes.
However, the part that's original is not beautiful, and the part that's beautiful is not
No,
original.
original.
Meaning to say nga, kinopya ko lang.
Kinopya. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you listen, so yung mga 20 or 30 songs that I wrote before then, I have just kept them there, but I don't dare to sing them because people will say, "Oh,
Oh,
copy,
kinopya lang.
copy,
Copyright lang.
oh, copy."
Oo, oo. But speaking of writing songs, and I know you after that, syempre, history, ano na yan, you write songs. How do you write songs, sir? How do you? Is it coming
Okay.
from an emotion, or how do you write songs?
Okay. First of all, I have to confess that I cannot read music notes. I never took up music. I never so I'm unable to write notes to. So what I do is I compose in my head and in my heart, and in order for me to remember them, I tape it on a cassette or on my phone, and then what I do so that I'll remember, I write down do re mi fa sol la ti do 1 2 3 4 5 6, you know, and so that I will not forget. So,
Mhm.
for example, tell me your name, do re mi fa sol la ti do. I write down the numbers so that I will not forget.
Mhm.
That's how I write my songs, and almost always, it's the melodies that come to me first.
Melody.
Sometimes when I'm driving and then a melody comes, so I stop on the road and I record it so that I will not forget. Sometimes before I go to sleep, a melody comes to me, and hey, I said, yeah, that's a beautiful melody. Sige, I'll in the morning when I wake up, I'll write it down. But then when that happens in the morning, nakalimutan ko na yung melody. So that's why I refer to it as a song in the night. I
Uh,
have lost you, beautiful girl, like a song in the night. So
it
the
it
thing to do is, as soon as the melody comes, do not uh, do not throw it away or do not keep it on the side. Write it down so
right,
that you will remember it. Because
right.
otherwise, uh, it may not come back to you anymore.
Yeah. Fast forward, how did you enter showbiz and the mainstream
Okay,
music industry?
all right.
Yeah.
In 1965, I was in college and
Hmm.
I was very active, singing in school concerts, school programs, campus festivals. I would always be asked to sing until I became a regular master of ceremonies, or what they call MC.
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 MC. Mhm.
I would uh, I would handle, let's say, a whole a campus festival, and then there would be many combos that would be guesting, and I would be the one to make jokes at the beginning and then introduce them one by one, and then I would always um, introduce my original songs. Okay, and that's when ABS-CBN sort of spotted me. So in 1965, I was approached by the late Pete Roa, who came to the house asking if I could MC or host a television show on Channel 9. At that time, Channel 9 was the ABS-CBN
Yes.
station,
Yes.
Channel
OPM.
9, and to host a TV show called Nine Teeners. Why?
Mhm. Mhm.
Essentially, Nine Teeners was a copy of the campus concerts that I was MCing, you see? So since I was emceeing shows in St. Scholastica, in Maryknoll, Assumption, Ateneo, La Salle, so they wanted to create a television show for teenagers, and they called it Nine Teeners. So they
Mhm.
wanted me to do exactly what I was doing in those campus shows.
Mhm.
Okay, so they came to the house and invited me. So to make a long story short, I was a host for about a year in that show. And
Nice.
remember, I was still in college. So I would do this, like, after school, I would drive all the way to Rojas Boulevard, where ABS-CBN was at that time. It was called Dewey Boulevard. Yeah, it was named after the American
Dewey.
Admiral Dewey.
DOUY. Yes.
Anyway, so then I became like somewhat of a, known.
Singer host or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So then in 1967, a year later, a recording producer approached me and offered me my first ever recording. So
Hmm.
I did my first single, and it was a song called Afterglow.
Afterglow. I
And
remember that.
You can get it on Spotify,
Yes.
Afterglow,
Hmm.
1967, my first ever recording. And it was just a single.
Yes.
And side A was Afterglow,
Mhm.
side B was Pines. Pines as
Uh-huh.
in pine tree, Pines.
Uh-huh.
And so that led, the song did not really become a major hit. No, it was fairly popular, but
Uh-huh.
it led to a bigger recording deal from a giant recording company called Dyna.
Dinah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
in 1968, therefore a year later, they produced my
Yeah.
first LP, my first
Yeah.
album
Hmm.
called Deep in My
Yeah.
Heart.
Right.
All original songs, Deep in My Heart. So that's when I became known as because that song, Deep in My Heart, became a national hit.
Hmm.
Uh, so a singer songwriter. And I'd like to think that that encouraged other singer songwriters to come up to the forefront. And
Yes.
so, yeah, then more and more singer songwriters came into the field. Okay, so my first single is Afterglow, not Deep
Mhm.
in My Heart.
Yeah. Mhm.
Deep
Mhm.
Afterglow went like this. We're at the afterglow of what we both do know as the spring of our youth. We've loved and shared the dawn and hoped that we'd go on, 'cause even that dawn had to go. Love has to cry, but need not die. Heart has to sigh the test of time. And then deep in my heart, a year later, 1968, was deep in my heart, I love you. Deep in my heart, I care. You are my life, my everything, my dream, my every prayer.